any air first, though. All right, LUMI, let the geese to flock out of here.
Well, change faster.
Why you always changing?
You right, fucking changing.
Let the geese to flock out of here. Warning. This podcast features adult subject matter, adult language, and things not meant for children to hear. Viewer discretion is advised. You've been warned. Wait, we're live, everybody, on the I'm No Joe channel. Thank you once again for tuning in to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Tonight, as like most nights, we have got a roundtable panel full of folks here ready to talk all MMA shenanigans and combat whatnots. First, before we get into it, let's go around real quick and say a hello to everybody. First and foremost, in this fancy new setup, the young gunner, the up-and-comer, the stunner, RJ, how you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Yeah, it's good to be back again. Finally got situated on my end, so good to be back.
Glad to have you back, brother. And then across from him, a rarity, a sight to be held, the heavenly one, Nick Devine. How you doing, brother?
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here. You gotta let me know so I can do the "You Want a Young J" check.
Right, the boogie
Nick. Let's do it.
All right, and then, as is most times, across from them, my Wednesday night homeboy, my brother from another mother, Golf T Vapes. How the hell are you doing, sir?
Doing fantastic. I'm ready to talk some more shit again.
Hell yes.
I'm impressed. I just want to say before we get into anything, I'm impressed that we have a fucking Foursquare here that I haven't seen in quite some time. So that's quite impressive.
Right? You know, sometimes the weird card brings all the freaks to the yard. So
that's it.
Here we go.
And we got our fluffers this week. It's awesome.
I'm telling you, sometimes it just works out that way. So, as we like to do around here, right off the top, first thing we are going to do is dive straight into all of the craziness, the shenanigans, the announcements, the oh shits that have all happened since we spoke to you fine folks last. And boy, oh boy, are there oh shits aplenty on this week's list. So we're going to start right off at the top. The card that actually was going on while we were recording last week, because they did not mention that they were on 2 p.m. Friday local time, which made it Thursday evening USA time. The One Championship Dawn of Heroes card last week, right out the gate. Holy shit, how the hell did Eddie not get stopped? When he got put down, he got his head bounced off the canvas a couple times. Granted, he did manage to scramble out once he got his shit back together and caught the guy, because he obviously thought that Eddie was out as well. But wow, was that a hell of a fight that old Eddie Alvarez was in over in Manila last weekend. Now, the caveat, as it were, to the odd Eddie fight was that Demetrius was on that card as well, and holy shit, did Demetrius have a full all-out war for his decision victory. They are not giving either one of these gentlemen anything light right out of the gate. They are throwing some serious world-class caliber fighters, I can words, at these guys coming out of the UFC to make sure everybody knows that nobody gets a free ride in ONE FC. They are slowly but surely proving to be very, very legitimately on the same level, if not starting to internationally go a little bit above and beyond the UFC. So we're gonna have to definitely keep our eyes on the talent and the wars going on over there, because I have a feeling it's going to start to get a little drifty here as far as talent goes, where people are going once they're free agents nowadays. Daddy Dana doesn't hold the only game in town anymore by a long shot. So definitely going to have to keep an eye on that.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
I was actually having a conversation with a guy at work about this. You remember way back in the day, like before UFC bought out what was WEC?
Mm-hmm.
Have a fucking just go ONE FC UFC like top of the top, battle it out together on a massive pay-per-view.
I mean, that's basically what Scott Coker has been trying to do over on his side of it. Between the inner organizational champions, like Horiguchi now holds the Ryzen Bantamweight Championship belt and the Bellator Bantamweight Championship belt. So they've not only got cross-promotion fights going over there, they've got a double champ that's running both organizations right now. They've said they're open to doing that with one. Satyong, I believe his name is, the gentleman from ONE, has said that he's open to try and get something going on with anybody. Basically, everyone's willing to sit down at the table except Dana right now. So I hope it works out, man. I think that's what it's going to be in everybody's best interest if we can just open the fucking doors and let people fight where the fights need to be taking place. But speaking of Dana not holding all the cards anymore, the UFC has officially and unequivocally announced they are out of the Cyborg business. She has been fully released. She is 100% free agent. Dana has confirmed that she is not being offered a new contract with the UFC. The caveat to that as well is that he has made a point to mention that he did and will still remain to offer her a one-fight contract for the rematch with Nunes. But she's the one apparently now who has decided she won't take that one-fight contract and now isn't going to be offered anything more than that, apparently. So it's going to be interesting to see where Cyborg goes now that she 100% is a free agent, especially with Kayla Harrison from the PFL talking shit, calling her out for that fight. And then Sarah Kaufman this week from the PFL also calling out Cyborg, hoping that she comes to PFL because they're not worried about her. They're fighting a 155-pound ladies class over in the PFL right now. So they're not scared of a 145-pound Cyborg, and there's good reason if you see some of those fights. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how that card plays out, especially with PFL evolving to what it is nowadays and also being on ESPN directly competing with the UFC, as it were.
I don't know that that's such a good idea on their side of the house, calling her out like that. Look, she's had one bad loss in how many years?
Yeah,
like she's gone the distance a handful of times with people. Just a handful. I don't care which ladies division. She can fight 155. These bitches don't realize she cuts a hell of a lot to get to 145. Cutting to 155 would probably be a walk in the park for her. And that's a scary Cyborg. She's going to have a lot more energy and a lot more power at that weight.
The power is the big factor at 155.
Well, and the thing is, these other girls, yeah, they're fighting 155, but didn't Kaufman fight in fucking the UFC at like 135?
35, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said on the show the other day that she has bulked up, that she put muscle mass on so that she could fight at 155 because she's willing to go wherever the fights are.
I'm just saying, I have this strange feeling that I don't think any of them bitches can take a punch. Because look at who they're fighting. Well, for the most part, most of them are fighting Sarah Kaufman.
Yeah.
Fucking point right there. She don't hit very hard. I don't care how much mass she's put on. Yeah, she's doing work right now, but a lot of it is submissions.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Down, ground pound, submission. That's it. Standing more, fucked 6 ways from Sunday if Cyborg gets in there with either one of them.
That's kind of what we've been talking about, a couple of us lately, is that if she goes to PFL, she's really lined out to go after that first $1 million on the ladies' side.
The only other thing that makes this Cyborg thing interesting is I really feel like Dana's fucking up here a little bit. And not because people necessarily want to just watch Cyborg fights, but because there's potential there. She is a draw. She's a moneymaker. Hey, look, I don't care. You can put Cyborg in their ring against fucking Leaf Blower. People are going to show up to watch her fight.
It's true.
But she has always been a problem, and that what she did wasn't cool. And I don't want to hear it was her management or anything, because she put that management in control.
She let him do
that management. So
see, this is where I differ on that. She ain't getting paid enough. You know how I know that? Reebok's still in fucking charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, if she was able to wear all of her shit like she normally would, guarantee that shit would have never hit the fucking media. That shit was done on purpose, and I have no problem with it because you know what? Daddy Dana and the UFC fuck a lot of fighters. So when one of them wants to stand up and say, fuck you, more power to you. And if it was your management that did it, more power to them. Somebody is doing the right thing in that fucking camp. Now, the only problem I have a problem with is that they fucking apologized for it. No, don't apologize for that shit. You stick with your guns. Tell Dana he apologizes to you. Tell him to get on his knees and lick that pussy just like he should. Call it a fucking day.
See, I'm all for the fighter standing up, but what she did wasn't standing up. What they did was flat out script some bullshit and lie about what Dana actually said when there were other cameras and microphones.
Okay.
Look, that's dumb as fuck.
And like, how many times has Dana done it to fighters?
I don't remember Dana ever subcaptioning or subtitling anybody's shit.
You're right, he hasn't. But you know the motherfucker's lied about more than one fighter. Guarantee.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying, turnabout is fair play. That's all it is.
They literally put words in his mouth, though, going into open contract negotiations.
Well, and you know, they might have screwed themselves on that side of it, but on the other side, you know what? That's part of the fight game.
It's definitely not the nice game.
Hey, look, you're in the fight business. There's no need to be fucking nice.
I agree.
Well, that's the problem, though, is you're in the fight game, and Dana White's part of the fight game, and Dana White has always won them battles. So,
yep, you got to pick and choose your battles sometimes, man.
Look at where Tyrone Woodley is now. You could even argue to say that that Ben Askren, that he's got the best of Ben Askren because he brought him in when he's older, and now Ben Askren's getting his teeth kicked.
Yep,
it's like it seems like he fucking won that one too.
You know, here's the problem: is everybody gets into these tiffs with him. Dana always comes out on top. The biggest problem I have is everybody going back and sucking his dick afterwards. Tyron did it.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Cyborg just did it, going back and apologizing. Yeah, we were wrong. That shouldn't have been done, blah, blah, blah. No. If you're going to get into a fucking fight with the man, let it turn out how it turns out. Call it a fucking day. But I think the one that I'm probably the most pissed about, the one person who hasn't gone back and done it, Demetrius Johnson. They fucked that dude 6 ways from Sunday. Dana White screwed him over big time.
He did, but the difference is now that he's over at one, he's got all his sponsors back.
Yep.
And if you paid even the slightest bit of attention to not just Demetrius Johnson in the octagon, but Demetrius Johnson as a whole, as a person, the draw that man has through the menagerie of sponsors for everything from water bottles to headphones to his Fortnite gaming gear. That man has got his finances well in hand just off sponsor money. So he doesn't have to really worry about anything at this point. And Dana never let him have it as good as they've got it given to him.
And that's the biggest problem. I think that's, there probably would not be half of the tiffs that there are now if people still had their own right to their shorts, put whatever they want on them, whoever's sponsoring them, let them buy fucking real estate on their fucking drawers.
Even just let them have like one or two sponsors will pay a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to look like a NASCAR coming out there. One or two sponsors, and that would give you.
Say let them look like NASCAR, because you know what? Them boys got to make a living. Look, when you look at even on the low end fighters, those guys are getting fucked big time. Okay, you're bringing $50,000, and that's before a bonus.
Right.
And figure all of that's got to go through taxes first, so you're going to get about 40,000 minus if you get your ass kicked, you're going to have $15,000 in medical bills behind it.
Yep.
So by the time you're walking out of there, you might have 10, 15 grand from one fight. Then you still have to pay for fucking all of your training. You have to pay your team.
Yeah.
You have to pay your gym dues, all of that shit that comes with it. They're getting fucked. But those low-end fighters, when they had the chance to have sponsors, even if they were having low-end sponsors, it was still footing a lot of those bills.
Covers a lot of the travel, a lot of the time.
And what's really funny when you look at all of this, once that switched over to fucking Reebok, tiffs with Dana went way up. Tiffs with the UFC went way up. There was a whole lot of this when there didn't need to be. Just saying, good for fucking the UFC, bad for every fighter, bad for fucking tiffs. And it causes
Absolutely.
a lot of fucking arguments because a lot of these guys, they stopped getting paid. They're literally putting their health and well-being on the line for people's entertainment, and yet they're not getting paid what they're worth. Then you go into this one with fucking ESPN. Now they're really getting fucked. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. They're getting a lot more airtime, which is good, because you might get a company, say, like Aquafina, who wants to pick up one of these fighters and say, yeah, here, you want to do Aquafina commercial for us? Sure, why not? But it's only going to air between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Right.
On fucking public access or some shit.
ESPN, the Ocho.
Yeah, which they do every Wednesday now, in case you guys didn't catch that. This is fucking ridiculous.
No, but speaking of fucking ridiculous, it has also been confirmed by one Mr. Dana White that the Ultimate Fighter is absolutely coming back. Now, we've talked about this a couple times. I absolutely agree that the Ultimate Fighter should be coming back, but I think that they should be using, like we talked about, the Contender Series to fill that house. You win a fight on the Contender Series, you get a spot in the Ultimate Fighter house. Then you fight your way through the Ultimate Fighter house, then you get a fucking contract in the UFC. I'm tired of seeing these fucking soup cans getting treated like they're fucking heroes when they win a Contender Night Series fucking fight against another fucking soup can. I'm absolutely in favor of bringing Ultimate Fighter back, but I want to see it treated the way it was treated. The reason it used to be a big fucking deal is because when the guy won Ultimate Fighter and came to the UFC, you better watch out for that motherfucker, because he just beat ass, wholesale ass, on camera to show you he was ready to come fight everybody in the fucking UFC. And it seems like they've lost a little bit of that fire when they start literally letting guys off the fucking street walk in to fill the last slot they need to make a fucking Ultimate Fighter season happen. Hopefully, fingers fucking crossed, the Dana is learning here, because he's so insistent on bringing Ultimate Fighter back. Hopefully he's going to do it correctly this time, and we're going to get to see it come back to what it used to be, where the talent that came out of there was appreciable for a fucking reason.
I'm not gonna lie, I have a really strange feeling it's gonna be fucking garbage.
I have a sneaky suspicion that since they've got the Apex open now, because they were still using what initially became the PI as their Ultimate Fighter training ship for the most part, aside from the UFC gym in Vegas. Now they've got the Apex, so they've got everything on site contained. There's no more taking dudes out to go get drunk and shit. Like, everything could potentially be more contained and a little more controlled now. So I think there's room to try to get it back on track. That's my hopes anyway. Now, moving along from there, we have got a couple of fight announcements here that I want to go over real quick. The biggest and one of the most prevalent fight announcements that has come across in the last couple of days. This one has me legitimately excited for whichever way the cards stack out on it. Corey Anderson versus Johnny Walker has been added to the UFC 244 card for November 2nd. That fight unto itself is, I feel like, going to be one of the real reasons people tune into that card, because the winner of that fight realistically puts themselves maybe not in the spot, but directly in line for the shot at John Jones, should John Jones decide he's going to stay at 205 after what comes out from Stipe and DC, because there's also some murmurings there. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. But Corey Anderson versus Johnny Walker is going to be a legitimate test for both gentlemen in that situation. Corey Anderson puts on wrestling pressure and grappling to a fucking ultimately high level and such a pace that most guys that try and play with him cannot keep up. Johnny Walker, on the other hand, hasn't really given us a chance to see everything that he's capable of. He is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt for a fucking reason. He might be a clown. He might do some stupid shit after he wins, but the kid has legitimate talent and legitimate potential if he can get his head out of his ass. I know that little fake mohawk thing might make it a little tough, but I'm hoping he can grab both ears and give a good tug, and we can actually see what Johnny Walker is legitimately capable of, because just as much if Corey Anderson can put him out in a dominant fashion, puts himself in the conversation, if Johnny Walker can handle Corey Anderson in a dominating fashion, that absolutely removes virtually all the doubt that he's the next guy that goes up for that shot. So we definitely have to keep an eye on how that one shakes loose. Next one I do want to take a second to talk about real quick. Holy shit, were there a lot of chokeouts in Newark last weekend? Oh my goodness, boys and girls. So many people getting choked out on last weekend's early card. It was ridiculous. The Shevchenko chokeout was nice, but the Jim Miller on Clay Guida rush in, front side lock in, and then told Herb Dean he's out as he's doing the rubber wrist thing to check. Whew. Talk about putting on some lessons in fight IQ and adaptability. If you didn't see last week's UFC Newark card, go back and watch that replay. There were glorious fights. There were some shit. There always is lately, but there were some just beautiful gems during that card as well. Next little announcement that I want to go over real quick. We kind of hinted at this a little while ago on both of these in different episodes, but it seems that both of these little tidbits have found their way together and given us a nice little gem. Rafael Carvalho moving to a different weight class. Melvin Manhoef coming over into Bellator. Guess who just got paired up for the UFC, for their Bellator debut? Yes. That, boys and girls, is going to be absolute fireworks. Carvalho moving up, Manhoef coming to Bellator to show what he can do still. There's potential for ooh, ahs, and sleepy time on either side of that one. Interesting little fight recap, as it were. There was a fight in Macau coming up. Ill Will Brooks versus Gleison Tebow. Weird events. I'm just going to tell you, go look it up. I don't even want to talk that much about it. It needs to be mentioned. Go look up the Ill Will Brooks and Gleison Tebow in Macau. Announcement: John Hands of Stone Lineker will be making his one debut October 25th. They scooped him up. They're throwing him right into the action here. He has made the laughable, ridiculous statement that he is coming to one to hunt for Mighty Mouse. Calm down, John. Calm down. But we already know one isn't throwing anybody any favors here. There are no soup can warm-ups in one, so I'm interested to see how Lineker comes in on his first match versus how we've seen DJ and Eddie come in on their first matches. And almost announcement, kind of, but not really anymore. Arjun Buller, who was set to make his debut, actually ended up getting pulled just hours before his fight because his opponent had a big-ass, gigantic staph infection. That sucks. I was excited to see Arjun getting over on the other side of the pond now that he's free of Daddy Dana, but it looks like we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer to see that as well. Speaking of things that we don't really get excited to talk about, but we kind of have to, Cain Velasquez made his debut as a professional wrestler this last week, and he did about exactly how you would imagine he did. He's a 7 foot tall, 300-pound, yoked ass luchador in a mask, and he was hauling motherfuckers around. So if pro wrestling is your thing, Kane's in that world now.
Yeah, it ain't my thing, but he looked good, man. He's flying around.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. He's a big man on the move.
You know, I can't even be mad at a lot of these fighters that are getting late into their careers like that.
No.
At least into their MMA careers. Yes, wrestling's fake, but it still takes a whole bunch of toll on the body because they do take a lot of falls and shit like that. I mean, a lot of those guys walking with fucking walkers. Just an example here. When I was a kid, I watched a fuck ton of wrestling. I'm talking old wrestling, like fucking Ravishing Rick Rude, the British Bulldog, fucking the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man Randy Savage. All those names I just named off were huge stars. Know where they all are now? They're fucking dead already. Fucking dead. That sport takes a hell of a toll on the body. So I hope that some of these guys who are moving from MMA over to that side of the house realize that, yeah, you're not getting punched in the head no more, but you are falling off a fucking top rope through a table and all this other shit. Your body's going to pay one way or another. You will pay. Don't get me wrong. It's a good move over for them because they're already stars in their own right. So it brings that pull with them. But at the same time, I'm going, they need to rethink their lives a little bit. How about go back to this whole idea of train motherfuckers if you were good?
Right.
Cain Velasquez, fucking excellent wrestler. Could fucking train anybody, go to any gym he wants, and they'd probably pick him up as a trainer. No problem.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Ric Flair. Woo! Thank you, Shevchenko. I will acknowledge that one in the
comments. But moving on from wrestling talk, there have been a couple of other fight announcements that I do want to mention here real quick. The Canadian Superman, Brad Katona, will be fighting one Hunter Azure from the Contender Series, as well as the Italian stallion Marvin Vettori on a freshly signed new UFC contract will be fighting one Andrew Dirty Sanchez from the Ultimate Fighter Series, both coming up on the September 14th card. That is definitely going to be a pair of interesting fights that I would highly recommend that folks tune into. A little quote here I want to read back in case some folks may not have caught this last week. John Jock Machado was on one of the newest episodes of the Joe Rogan Experience MMA edition. One of the most beautiful things that I think that he said, out of many, many wonderful quote-worthy things that he spouted during that episode, the beautiful thing about jiu-jitsu is that everyone develops their own game. And no one can predict whether your game will work against someone else's game until you test it. That's why you do jiu-jitsu. It's beautiful quotes like that. It's elegantly phrasing the physicality of jiu-jitsu, the complexity, the chess with human bodies that jiu-jitsu is, that helps me appreciate it as much as I really do. And it kind of is part of the reason why I do shit like this, so I can bring news like this to people who may not catch little gems like that. Now, that being said, that brings me to some other little MMA bullshit that also equally ends up having to be talked about here. And that is both Kayla Harrison and Sarah Kaufman calling out Cyborg over in the PFL, but not only calling her out for any of the divisions here, because they both during this last week did their own little press segments. Kayla Harrison said she wants to fight her at 55. Sarah Kaufman said she would fight her at 55, but she's hoping that she can win this season and that next season the PFL will give them a 45 division so that they can bring it to where Cyborg prefers. But either way, there's some strong pull from the fighters, almost more than the upper organization on the PFL side calling out Cyborg. The one thing I will give them credit for, though, is despite there not being much of a field on the UFC side of it, there still is very much a decent competition field for 145 and 155 pound women in the PFL. So that tells me at least there are those ladies out there, even if the UFC isn't willing to quite fill out their divisions just yet.
I have a feeling about that. Those ladies weren't calling them out for no reason. I'm sure they both would love to fight her.
Yeah.
But I also think there's a little bit of this coming up under the table here. We slide you a little bit of money. We'll see if we can coerce her into coming to our fucking show because we know it's going to be a draw. And you know what? If PFL's doing that, I ain't even mad.
No,
that's
not in the least.
Hell of a good game plan. Because as a free agent, she has choice of where does she want to go.
And everyone's watching.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be fucking offers coming in left and right, and guaranteed she's going to make way more money at any of those than she did fucking fighting in the UFC. Guaranteed. Might not be for fights, but all her sponsors, there we fucking go.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I don't know that DAZN is going to be able to compete with pay-per-view money, but the sponsors that she'll get back will absolutely make up the difference and some. I'm certain.
Oh yeah.
Next quick little thing here. Another fight announcement. Quick turnaround. Puppy dreams. Quick turnaround for one of the most interesting gentlemen in the UFC, in my opinion here. Figueiredo has now been signed to fight Tim Elliott on October 12th. So beware the red stripe. He's coming back. He's making a quick turnaround. Dude's trying to make moves. You can't be mad at it either because that was a hell of a fight that gentleman put on for us. Next little mention of a fight that has been announced. And I can't help but laugh at the way that I saw the fight announced itself. The headline that I read when I saw this fight announcement literally said, "Another Gracie coming after Oscar Vera." Conry Gracie, Royce's son, is now in Bellator, and they have been announced for Bellator 225 on August 24th at the end of this month. Another Gracie is going after Oscar Vera here. Conry is one of the younger of the next generation of Gracies. He's just 21, so we really haven't seen a whole lot from him, but you kind of have to assume being Royce's son and not only being on the MMA side of that, but he's also Royce's son, very much true to sense on the gun side of that as well. He's a rifleman and a three-gunner, just like his daddy, and he's also a badass. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next wave, literally, of Gracies are going to do as they enter their phase of the combat world, as many of them seem to be doing. And Conry's coming in, going against Oscar Vera again, just like several of his other relatives have.
You know, the one thing I have a question with that on is, because he's so young, look, I'm not worried about his jiu-jitsu. That kid has probably been doing jiu-jitsu since he was still in fucking diapers.
Yeah.
That comes with being in that family.
Absolutely.
That I don't have a question about. I don't know. How long has he been training the stand-up game? How long has he been doing Muay Thai? How long has he been kickboxing? How long has he been boxing?
Right.
How much wrestling training has he done? That's what I would really like to know, because that's where I think it's going to make or break him. And are we just going to have another fucking Gracie killer out there?
Right. Yeah, because that's absolutely one of the things that, despite being some of literally the best BJJ practitioners on the planet, striking is not exactly what they're known for. Boxing isn't their strong suit per se. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this wave of Gracies tries to integrate, because we've seen all the way back from the old school days, for lack of a better term, every batch of Gracies that comes through takes their forefathers' style and puts a little bit of their own spin to it and a little bit of their own flavor onto it. And here we are quite literally with several of the new batch of Gracies coming into the combat world, and none of them are really doing it quite the same as their predecessors were. So I agree. It's absolutely going to be something to keep an eye on and see how these new round of Gracies are going to put their game together, as it were. Speaking of finally putting it together, UFC has finally put together a match that many people are very, very interested to see how it shakes out. I will absolutely be one of them. They have announced for the co-main event of the October 18th card, Zabit versus Calvin Kattar. That is going to be an absolute test for Zabit. We all know that Zabit has got some grappling. Zabit has got a great fight IQ, but Calvin Kattar has been showing that he is a very well-rounded fighter with a very dangerous hand that he can sneak at you from just about anywhere with equally dangerous submission games. So it's not going to be a walk in the park for Zabit, but it's not going to be a walk in the park for Calvin Kattar because we have seen what Zabit can throw at you from anywhere just the same. So that is definitely going to be a matchup that you're going to want to keep your eyes up.
Fireworks.
Yes, absolutely fireworks on that one for sure. Next quick thing I do want to mention, kind of got hinted at during the post-fight interview, as it were, but it wasn't really anything made official because in that moment you really wouldn't want to make a decision about something like this. But it has been confirmed as of yesterday via his management. We are talking about Frankie Edgar officially dropping down to bantamweight. The former lightweight belt holder who just fought for the featherweight belt and lost is now going down to bantamweight as he nears 40 years old. This is a little bit of a mixed bag for me. On one hand, yes, we've seen Frankie be a dominant champion at 155. On the other side of that coin, he was almost always the underdog when he was fighting at 155 because they were almost always bigger than him. And then we saw in the fight against Max at 145, even Frankie in phenomenal looking shape looked tiny compared to a regular sized Max at 145. And I say that regular size loosely because we saw how small Max looked at 55 against Dustin. So size scale it back down, as it were. Even at 45 in really good shape, Frankie still looks small. So I think the plus side of this is that Frankie's not going to be having to really cut or bulk much weight to get to 35 naturally. And he's going to be fighting dudes that are his size physically. So I think it might be a little more interesting to see how this part of his career comes out, because he seems to think, as far as what he's been saying over the last couple of days, he's going to try and finish his career out at bantamweight. So we'll just have to see how that cut goes for him. I hope it goes well. I think he can be a very interesting puzzle for a lot of the 35-pound guys to not be able to put together here. So we'll have to watch for that. Two more. I have to shake my fucking head. Two more quick little announcements I'm going to talk about real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes here. The first one, they announced a double-decker announcement, as it were, for the what the hell was it? December 7th card. Claudia Gadelha will be fighting Cynthia Calvillo. That has got a whole lot of potential to get shaken up. Those ladies are both going to go at it because they're both chasing to try and get a shot at Andrade now that she's got the belt right now, unfortunately. The other weird side of the announcements that they made was Yana Kunitskaya versus Aspen Ladd, which is one of those fights that no one really asked for, but I suppose we'll show who's the soupier of the soup can between the two, ? So we'll see how that one goes. But then the last announcement, the one that I looked down and saw and made me shake my fucking head, just confirmed this afternoon, October 5th, UFC 243 in Australia, where history went down last time. Holly, the preacher's daughter, Holm, will fight Raquel Rocky Pennington, where the history was made, where Holly fluked the greatest fluke that ever did fluke when she knocked out Ronda. They're now giving her a shot to, quote unquote, redeem her historic moment in the place that it happened the first time.
It's a good card anyway, so who cares? Whatever.
That's the main reason I'm not like disappointed as much. is that it's not going to make or break that card either way, but the way that they keep trying to shove Holly back, it's a lot. It's a lot. But that is all for the news and recent events that we have got for this week. That will bring us to our favorite news segment here, the time where we take a moment away from us hardcore MMA assholes and we give a breath and a chance to hear from sort of the Joe Everyman, as it were, the Johnny just new to MMA, if you will. We give them a little time that we like to call Casual Corner. And when we bring in Casual Corner, we bring in the one, the only, the LUMI Streams. Sometimes we're working on it. We have to unmute everything. There we go. It happens to just work sometimes. And how are you, Miss LUMI?
Honestly, I'm still pretty fuming over last week's fight.
I understand there was definitely some interesting events last week as well.
Meter has caught me raging on a couple UFC posts.
She's definitely getting there. She's getting
that fight, Lawler. Ruthless Lawler. I was so excited to finally get to see Ruthless Lawler. Not very ruthless.
No, that was definitely not the Ruthless Lawler we all know and love.
I unfollowed him. I was so upset. I was marching around the house.
You unfollowed him, huh?
I unfollowed that motherfucker. Right before his fight, I was getting all amped up. I was trooping around, screaming. Followed him right before his fight, just like I did with, I think it was Jim?
Yep, Jim Miller.
Jim Miller. Right before his fight, I was getting all hyped up, followed him on Instagram. Then after that fight, I was like, Lawler, yes! Followed. Trooped around, was like, fucking do something! Do something! Unfollowed. Walked out of the house, turned the stream off. It was bad. Really bad.
It was definitely aggravating, because you know that Kobe's not going to knock him out, so you're just like, just unload already. Just try.
Yep, bro, something for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that was too disappointing. And then we got this upcoming fight for this week. I did a brief amount of research on these guys. Valentina, she's a badass.
Yes, she is.
And then when I go to the UFC thing and look at the stats between Valentina versus Liz,
Carmouche.
I'm not trying to go for last names. I'm not a barista. I can't do this kind of stuff. Let's see.
Shevchenko.
Oh, snap. This is an interesting fight according to the UFC's little chart for fight night. 16-3-0 for Valentina, aka Red. Liz is 13-6-0. About the same height, of course the same weight. Just a little bit of reach on Valentina. Leg reach. It's about the same, which is kind of interesting how this one's going to pan out, because Valentina likes to do the leg kicky thingy.
Yep.
And then if she's not doing the leg kicky thingy, you have to be watchful of that fucking Superman punch of hers. And the other, like, backhanded fist to the face that she fucking lines up like she's some kind of ballerina. So this is going to be interesting that they have the same reach, because they're going to be in their faces.
Absolutely.
The other one has more KTOs, Miss Liz.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of surprising, because I would honestly think one of those legs or ballerina punches would knock a bitch out. It looks like it's going to be an interesting fight. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It looks like it's going to be pretty fair. if Liz were to study Valentina's Superman punches and try to avoid those. If she is prepared for that, this could be a pretty even fight. But me being me, I really hope she doesn't prepare and Valentina's just quick and feisty and unpredictable, so she still lands those, because I want to see those. I haven't gotten to see them yet. And then going on to the next little blabbers. This one, I hated this one. I asked Meter to hop into Zoom with me just to be like, who the fuck is this guy? Mike Perry goes into like this kind of weigh-in thing and just acts like a fucking fool. Like just downright fool. And I was like, no. No. And then he starts yelling at the end. Go the fuck away. I had no appreciation for that whatsoever. I hope he gets his ass kicked. The Vincent guy handled Mike's outburst quite nicely, very professionally. He just kind of sat there like, wow. Wow. Your mom should have swallowed. Wow. When we go to their records, let's see. Vincent 15-6-1, Mike 12-4-0. Meter let me in on something that this little loudmouth tries to get into as many fights as possible, but still sucks. So, I don't know. I really hope he gets his shit handed in, but let's look at their stats. Oh wait, it's not Vincent. Have I been saying Vincent?
Yeah.
Oh. Vicente versus Mike. Okay, KTOs. Vicente has 56, Mike has 85, which is surprising that he's able to shut up long enough to even fight. Ooh.
What was that, Lumi? What was that stat? I'm sorry. I only heard the numbers.
Red, Vicente, 56 for KTO. Mike is 85.
What is that?
Knockout.
Percentages. It's their percentage of their wins by KTO. Knockout or stoppage.
See, now it looks like this guy might be like a one-trick pony. It just looks like he just tries to get rowdy and tries to like punch you. Where Vicente has like a mixture of everything. While he has 56% knockout and 38% submission, Mike has no submission. So it seems like he's either just trying to rely on being rowdy and just getting in there and knocking him out, and I think that could be a downfall. But then when you go to significant strikes landed, Mike not so hot per minute. It looks like Vicente's got him on strikes, defense. Oh, no, wait, Mike's a little bit better with defense.
They've both been in a lot of action. They've both been in some wars, so those numbers are probably going to be crazy because both their last fights were they were both just beating the shit out of each other. So yeah, they're both fighters. I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're robotic, just as a heads up.
I'm glad. I thought it was me.
No, he's robotic.
Come back.
I only heard like half of what you were saying. But yeah, I really just, I hope Vicente takes out Mike. Really hope. It seems like an okay kind of pair up together, which normally when I'm looking at these, it seems to be a running thing. They look for people that aren't crazy out of other people's leagues.
For the most part.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna vote that Vicente wins because Mike is a fucking lunatic.
Acceptable answer.
Okay, let's go on to the final people. Vulcan versus
A year. Yep.
These guys look like beasts.
They absolutely are.
These guys look like freaking beasts. From non-contender, does that mean he was injured? Lear? Oh, what's his name?
Ayer
Ayer?
Latifi.
I'll just call him Latifi.
There you go.
Let's see. I remember you said that Ayer gets really injured. He's kind of reckless to the point where he injures himself, and that if that happens more than once, you need to work on maintaining your stamina. But they both look like beasts, so I can imagine the fight that ensues when you have two beasts going at it.
Yeah.
Somebody's getting hurt.
It's gonna be fireworks for damn sure.
This one I was a little unsure of, so I actually have to look at the stats now. Let's see, win by KTO. I'm sticking with red and blue because I have fish brain. Vulcan is red. Lear is blue. Or Rear, whatever his name. So red, 73% knockout. Blue, 40%. Red, 7% submission. Submission for blue is 33. Decisions, 20 to 27. It looks like they tend to go all fight long. Like all rounds, I guess. For their average fight. Let's look at their differences in sizes. Ooh. Blue is 5'10", the other guy's 6'2". This is really hard. I don't know.
Are these two from the same camp? No. Who? Latifi is in he's in the same camp as somebody in the same weight class. I'll have to look it up.
I didn't get to see too many fights on these guys, unfortunately, as beastly as they are. But based off of the stats, I think red has a really good chance. I don't know, but blue's doing pretty good for the fact he injures himself every time. This is... I'm too torn. I don't know. I don't know how their personalities are to pick one based off of their personality, so I'm just sticking with I'm torn. They're both beasts, they both look fucking awesome, and I just want to see the fight. I don't know who I'm rooting for.
You're all out of place.
Yeah, I'm just scrambled.
It happens like that sometimes. There's often some fights where you look at the stats and you look at the guys, and it's just no good way to pick a winner. It happens.
Maybe that's because it's going to end up as a decision, because they're both just going to be so ruthless against each other. That's what I think. It's going to go to decision, and it's going to be close. There we go.
There you go. That's a possibility as well.
Boom.
Boom. Roasted.
Okay. Casual corner out.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So, from the casual corner and the wonderful Miss Lumi's little piece here, that will bring us on to the meat and potatoes, as it were, of this particular episode. The reason for this particular show, UFC Uruguay, ESPN plus UFC, I think is also giant, too big of a damn name that they're calling it as well. Uruguay is what we're calling it. So this is another one of those. We actually talked about this a little bit before we went on the air. We're getting to a point now where instead of back in the golden era, as it were, where we'd have a pay-per-view every month and a fight night every month. So you get a show, a week off, a pay-per-view, a week off, a show, a week off, a pay-per-view, a week off. And every fight on every card was always good. Well, now we've got fight nights, and we've got UFC on ESPN and UFC on ESPN Plus, and we've got Contender Series, and now Ultimate Fighter's coming back, and It's at the point now where we literally have an event almost every single weekend. Right now, we're currently in the middle of a 9-week stretch of every weekend events. And on one hand, it's nice to have a lot of combat sports to watch. But on the other hand, when you put together that many fucking events, you end up with a lot of shit that doesn't need to be televised. That tends to lead to fluff. And we've got a card here this weekend where we've got a great main event. We've got a watchable co-main event, but we've got a lot of fluff. And if you remember from last week, this is the card that we were talking about. Almost 10 of the originally planned fights on this card ended up being pulled from one side or the other, or both, due to injuries. Right out the gate, the first fight that I was planning to talk about, the first fight on the prelims that I was deemed worthy of conversation, has already been told since I wrote my damn notes the other night. I was originally planning to talk about Rachel Ostovich versus Veronica Macedo. They have replaced Rachel Ostovich with Poliana Viana. Still an interesting fight, but not at this point really worth breaking down. Both ladies are coming in there hungry. Both ladies are coming in there as up-and-comers, but neither one of them really had the experience of the fight IQ, I feel, to make this a really exciting matchup like I thought it would have been, with Ostovich in there coming in for, some hungry battle. So we'll jump straight on over that one here. That will bring us back down to the tiny tornado, Tisha Torres, fighting Marina Rodriguez. Now, I hate that we have to use this word so much, but this fight immediately makes me think of a gatekeeper situation. Tisha Torres was legitimately at the top of the stack, chomping at the bit for a shot at gold for a good hot minute here, but it seems like lately she really just, A, isn't all that active, and B, when she is active, isn't putting on performances to the extent of the potential that we've seen her perform in the past. And with Marina Rodriguez coming in 11-0-1, a newcomer trying to make her way into the spotlight of the UFC women's side of the house, it really feels like Tisha Torres is starting to slip down that slippery slope of the back nine of her career. I hope that I'm wrong. I would really love to see a wonderful performance from Tisha this weekend to just, show everybody she's still here. She's still a threat. She's still dominant. She's ready to get back into it. But I just don't feel like that's what we're going to see here. I think we're going to see a Tisha Torres that's starting to show some road miles, that's starting to show a little wear. And I think we're going to see a hungry up-and-comer in Marina who's going to take advantage of that. And I think it's going to be just enough to edge out Tisha Torres and start sending her towards that old fighters home, the farm upstate where they send people before they let them Ronda. I could be wrong.
I think you're right on there. Tisha has been on just a terrible fucking skid. Just bad. There was a point where I thought she had a legitimate chance of doing something fantastic. However, the other side to that coin is when she was on that tear, she wasn't really dominating the way that you would figure somebody who was on that kind of tear would. All of her fights were going to decision. I mean, there's maybe one or two of her fights that she's actually finished. No, to be honest, I think this is kind of well, I won't say kind of. I will say this is one step towards the exit out the door.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it, as much as I hate to say this, because there was a point when she did look fucking fantastic. She's got one foot in the grave at this point, and they're just throwing somebody at her to see if they'll push her in.
I agree.
Oh, I was waiting for Nick because that's a typical rotation. Fucking fucking what's your name? Rodriguez. I can't remember her first name.
Marina.
Marina. There you go. Marina. I mean, she's only had what 2 actual fights in the UFC. One of them was a draw, which was not an awful fight. She didn't do horrible. She just couldn't put her opponent down. And the other one, again, wasn't bad. So she does have some half decent. No, she does have a decent uh, chance coming into the UFC, only having a few fights. So I would say Marina on this because Torres is just she hasn't won a fight since fucking 2017. I mean, she needs to get her shit together or fucking get out.
I agree.
Yeah, I like Tisha Torres. I hope she wins. I don't know Rodriguez is her name.
Yep.
I don't know her that well at all. I do like Tisha Torres. Yeah, she needs to win, so I'm just rooting for her. I couldn't even tell you who I would think would win. I'm rooting Tisha Torres.
All good.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's gonna be an interesting match. It's not gonna be an easy sweep by any sense of the imagination, but it really feels like Tisha's starting to take that slower step in her career, and that it never ends well. But from there, that's going to jump us clean through all the prelim talk we were going to get into here, right into the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes, as it were, the main card, kicking right off at the tippity top. The very first fight, I think they're going to open the main card with some heat. They're going to bring some fire here. I'm talking about Enrique Barzola versus Bobby Moffett. Now, this is a prospect battle you're not going to want to miss. Both of these guys are just coming into the UFC, just really starting to get their legs stretched and get a little feel for how they're going to do their thing here. Both of them, great potential, great fighters. Both of them energetic as shit. I absolutely think this is going to be one to keep an eye on here. I think Barzola is going to try and get wily, but Moffitt's counter-striking is just going to be a little bit too much, in my opinion, here. I don't think it's going to be a knockout, but I think this is going to be a point situation where we've got 2 smaller guys going at it, and I think Moffitt is going to let his hands go, and it's definitely going to be a point victory here. I think it goes to decision, but I think Moffitt's hands are going to give him the point victory in this one.
Yeah, I don't think I could have said that one much better. Although this one does have the potential to have a lot of fireworks to it because they're both up and comers, and to be honest, they're both still really wet behind the ears. To be quite frank with this, so don't look for this to be a defensive battle because it's not going to be. And I highly doubt either one of them pulls off a knockout here. This is definitely going all 3 rounds. You might see a good stand-up bang-out war. I don't think that they're going to fight in the phone booth, though. So if we do see some sort of war, it's going to be a very strategic fucking fighting from the outside, finding that range. And the way that this fight goes down, whoever finds their range first is going to end up winning this fight. Like you'll know within the first probably 3 minutes of the fight who's going to end up winning it because somebody's going to find their range early within the first minute and a half, 2 minutes. At that point, because they're still pretty green, whichever one finds that range first, that's who's going to end up winning it. Because I don't see them being so. Neither one of them are seasoned enough to be able to get back in it once they're behind. I don't think. However, in this case here, I just want to hold the sign that says "Change my mind."
I mean, but there's one thing that you got to remember. Moffitt doesn't have a horrible fucking ground game. That's one thing. That's one thing that you don't see a lot from Barzola. You don't see him getting down to the ground that often. Moffitt will take it to the ground if he has the opportunity and he knows that he can dominantly change the pace of the fight. So that's something you gotta think of too, because Barzola is not a ground guy.
Absolutely. Very good point. Very good point indeed.
I'm good. You can move on. You guys said everything.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So jumping along to the next spot I want to take a moment to talk about here. Again, we're going to skip over a little bit of fluff. The next one I am going to take a moment to talk about here was the other one that our casual gave her little piece on. Volkan No Time Ozdemir versus Ilir Latifi. This one has got fireworks written all over it. Neither one of these gentlemen are really known for taking their time and pacing things out and being a long-term thinking tactical fighter. These are two dudes who are both willing to come out like fucking tanks, stand in the phone booth and bang till somebody's fucking head falls into pieces. This one has potential for a big, big, big knockout here. I think the difference in this one is going to be Ozdemir has a little bit better of a fight IQ. He's got a little bit better of a defensive fighting stance, whereas Latifi is pretty much only known for coming forward and trying to, rock 'em, sock 'em, robots your fucking head until it pops up at the neck. That's not to say that it doesn't work once in a while, but that type of style generally is conducive to getting knocked out as much as it is knocking somebody out. Whereas Volkan, definitely known for having knockout power, but also a little bit more defensive and a little bit more strategic in his striking as well. And I think that's going to be the difference here. I think No Time takes it, and I think Latifi goes to sleep. I think it happens early in the second.
Oh boy. This one was a tough one for me to call when I looked at it, because both of these guys, you're right, they love to fucking bang. The only thing where I see that there could possibly be a strange twist on this, I think Latifi's got a better ground game than Ozdemir.
Yeah, he's a wrestler. He's definitely a good wrestler.
So I mean, if he does get to that point, he could end up taking it to the ground. And now, yes, he lost his last fight, but his fight prior to that, he won via straight up just put a motherfucker to sleep, standing up. OSP went to sleep, got dropped down to the cameras, just fucking pillow and all. I don't even think he had time to put the pillow down for him, to be quite honest, the way that man went to sleep. But no, he's got a solid fucking ground game, and that's where I think that's the only thing that might save Latifi in this, is if he can get it to the ground. I don't think he's going to try, because, I mean, look at him. Dude, he looks like he's possibly on fucking roids. And they're both fucking yoked like that. They both look like they could be roid heads and could pop hot at any minute and lose their contracts with the UFC. Neither one of them have ever popped for it, and they both look like that since the time they come in, so I doubt that they are. I think that is going to end up in a knockout one way or another. It's just going to be a matter of who touches who first. And the hard part is I honestly can't call a winner on this fight. As much as I would like to, I'm just going to enjoy the fireworks that happen, because all I can say is don't blink, because this one's not going to get out of the first round. Somebody's going to sleep first round, I think. I don't think there's time for that second round bullshit. Neither one of them got it. They're going straight back to that. I ain't got no time for this. They're trying to get in, get out. Look at I see where you could say possibly second round, because both of their average fight times are usually second round. But with two guys that want to go in there and swing fucking sledgehammers at each other, this has first round written all over it, one and done. The only way it lasts longer than the first round is if Latifi gets a wild hair up his ass and decides to fucking take it down. That's the only way I can see this getting outside of the first round. The only way I think he actually goes for a takedown is if he gets fucking rocked and has to go back to his wrestling background. But at that point, if he's rocked, he's going to fucking sleep. That's first round. I don't know who's going to win it, but there's going to be a knockout. That's all there is to it. And it's going to be fun to watch, so tune in.
Yeah, this is one of those fights to where it depends on where it goes depends on who the fuck wins. Just like TJ said, if it stays up, Ozdemir could get it, but if Ozdemir gets taken to the ground, Latifi has it. There's no fucking ifs, ands, or buts with that. If Ozdemir has reach, Ozdemir can play the reach out or come in and fucking fight in a phone booth. But if he fights in a phone booth, he's gonna get wrapped up and taken to the ground, and then it's fucking game over. So I'd like to see Latifi, because I remember they were the first time that they were supposed to fight in June. I think there's a lot of hype behind Ozdemir coming back and taking the fight. So I'd like to see Latifi come back and shut that up.
Yeah, I think Ozdemir is going to pull it off. I think he just has cleaner boxing, starts standing, and I think he's got enough takedown defense to not get put to the ground. But when he does get put to the ground, he looked like crap against DC. I mean, absolute shit. He looked like he had nothing. So, yeah, I think Ozdemir, I think he's scared enough to make sure he stays on his feet. And I think he's going to win that one.
I agree. But either way, like TJ said, this really could go either way. Both of these guys, this is quite literally the definition of a puncher's chance on either side of the coin. Literally, these dudes are both big, heavy strikers. And if either one of them lays the clean shot down early enough, the other could go to sleep. So this one definitely has the most, in my opinion, the most potential, aside from the main event, obviously, for fight of the night. So definitely don't want to miss that one. Now, that's going to bring us to the corn on the cob, as it were, of the meat and potatoes segment that is the meat and potatoes of the main card here. This is the co-main event that you don't really want, but you'll have anyway, just to be polite. Talking about, of course, Vicente Luque versus Aluminum Mike Perry. Now, if you've watched even just a couple episodes of this show, I'm sure that you're quite familiar with my particular fondness for Aluminum Mike and his shitty shenanigans, as they were. If you have been a decently hardcore fan of the show, then you would also know that I have been a big fan of Vicente Luque since we first saw him on The Ultimate Fighter once upon a time here. I feel like this is one of those situations where even Vicente said during this week that Mike Perry has been fairly respectful, fairly polite, and fairly quiet about the fight, but that was also up until we got to fight week. And then over the last couple days, like even Lumi mentioned, you've seen the shithouse shenanigans and the screaming and the fucking ridiculous Aluminum Mike antics that he always pulls. Vicente on the other side has been very Nama Yunus in his response and hasn't flinched, hasn't flickered, hasn't responded with, return shenanigans as he generally does. I think, and this is going to be, for me, a situation where we're going to get to see Vicente Luque come out and show that not only is he the cooler head about to prevail, but he is a more complete fighter in every aspect that this fight could go. I think he's got better boxing. I think he's got a better chin. He's got a much better ground game. He's got better grappling and wrestling than Perry. He's bigger than Perry. I think anywhere that this fight could possibly go, Luque has got Aluminum Mike's number. But I don't think he's going to let Mike dictate the pace here. I think Aluminum Mike is going to come out and try some flashy, shiny shit to try and get some attention because he needs all the fucking spotlight he can get right now. And I don't think he's going to get what he's asking for. I think he's going to come out sloppy and quick. And I think Luque is too smart and too good to fall for that shit. He's no Askren. He's not going to let him come out and just eat some knees. He's going to go in there, and I think he's going to do work, and I think he's going to put on a class and pick Mike Perry apart. I think this one ends late second on Luque's terms after he works Perry for a little
bit. This is the fight I did not want to talk about. Not because, no offense to Luque at all, but As Mina was saying earlier, anybody who's watched this knows I don't like fucking Mike Perry either. That dude can eat a dick. Like a whole goddamn dick salad. He can go fucking fall in a pecker patch for all I care. I didn't want to talk about this because I don't want to give him any screen time. However, I do want to give fucking some screen time to fucking old Vicente Luque. Because you know what? That dude, he's coming. He's coming for people. He's coming hard. And it's not going to be pretty. Look, he's finally got into them ranked numbers, which is fucking fantastic to see, considering we've been watching him slowly progress. And his strides are getting bigger, I've noticed. Like, as we've watched his fights, dude, he's becoming way more refined. He's found his game. Their training is on fucking point. This is going to be, I think this is a showcase fight for him. To be quite honest, this is a fight where he comes out, shows exactly what he can do, being nice and quiet, letting people run their fucking mouths. It's never the people that run their mouths you got to worry about. It's the ones that are fucking quiet. Look at Naomi Ines. She had a fucking fantastic tear until she decided to not let go of a Kimura lock and ended up dropped on her head. But that's neither here nor there. Always cool as a cucumber. You never seen that girl ever do anything. Vicente Luque is doing the same fucking thing. That's a scary fucking thought, because that means he's dialed in. He ain't worried about what somebody else has to say. That shit's just going and out the other. Yeah, I heard you. Thanks. Sounded like mumbles. Deuces. We're out. I don't think this gets out of the second round. I'm kind of hoping not for a knockout. I want to see a submission. I want to watch fucking Aluminum Mike quit. I want to watch him quit. I want him to tap out. I don't want him to get put to sleep. I want him to tap. I want him to fucking quit. To show what kind of person he really is. A fucking loudmouth quitter. That is it. So you know how to get tattoos on your face. Good fucking job. It's a good thing you have this job, because you'll never find one that pays decent with that. No offense to anybody who's got tattoos. I've got them myself, but we keep them off the moneymaker there, sunshine. Unfortunately, I guess apparently aluminum, there's only one way to shine that shit up. And, you know, I don't care how much you shine a turd, it's still a fucking turd. That's all I'm saying. So, second round, I'm hoping submission, but it'll probably end up being knockout, which is perfectly fine. If we're lucky, we'll get to watch a couple of Aluminum Mike's teeth fall out in the process. Like old school fucking just teeth flying across the ring and landing in the fucking desk right there as they're looking at the monitor. Oh, what's this? Throw that shit away. Fuck that dude. Fuck him. Vicente Luque, please do some fucking work. Don't be silent about being the silent assassin. No, I want you to be loud as fuck when you're in there beating his ass. Make him cry. Make him tap out. Make him call his mommy. Maybe when you're done, you can give him a fucking quarter so he can go use a payphone to call her. Yeah, fuck that guy. Vicente Luque, second round. I'm calling submission, even though it's probably going to end up being a fucking knockout.
Yeah, this is going to be short, sweet, to the point. Vincetti hasn't lost a fight since 2017. Mike, shut the fuck up. You're going to lose. Suck a dick. Just retire.
All right, let me save this channel real fucking quick. Vicente Luque, 34,000 followers on Instagram. Mike Perry has 329. So when Vicente beats his ass, His numbers are going to go up. You're welcome, Vicente. You people should feel so lucky to watch a fighter like Mike Perry, a finely tuned athlete like him. Somebody going to get cut open, people are going to bleed, and somebody might fucking die. Okay? He said he was going to stop. Mike Perry said he was going to stop talking so much shit and focus on point fighting. I say, fuck that shit. Nobody ever got anywhere with that shit. Be you, do the kill bow. We need guys like him. He loves what he does. That's what I like about Mike Perry. He fucking loves what he does, and he does come to fight. It's not going to be an easy knockout. You know it's going to be a fight. It's such a tall order. Vicente is so fucking good. Mike Perry is always the underdog. Always. And that's also why I always root for him, because I feel bad kind of. I just feel bad. I'm like, oh, shit, he's not good enough for this shit. But that's why we like him. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people like him, is because he talks shit even though it's going to be rough, man. It's going to be rough. Yeah, he's a train wreck. I would love to see him and Robbie Lawler, even though I think Robbie Lawler would whoop his ass, but I think that would be a good fight. And him and Darren Till, I think I would like to see him lose one, win one, lose one, win one, just so he's that guy that, you know, gives guys another boost up, because he is entertaining. People do love that shit. They do. That's just what it is. I mean, it's the same thing with Kobe Covington. He's doing all the right things to make you hate him, so you show up, so he gets his ass kicked. And we need that. That's what the business needs. So I always root for Mike Perry. I like him. I know why people don't like him, and I think that's why I like him. But, yeah, he's probably not going to win, unfortunately. But he does show up to fight, and sometimes he does pull it off. And when he does pull it off, it's usually extremely entertaining. So we'll see. Even when he gets beat, it's entertaining. Like when Cowboy beat him, that was entertaining as shit. That was a meme for what, a month?
At least.
Yeah. Yeah, Luke, that shit's boring, dude. Fucking talk shit. I'm done. If anybody's wondering if I write notes, I don't until Mike Perry fights. I write 3 fucking pages.
Oh, shit.
Somebody had to come in and play Captain Save-A-Ho.
Yeah.
Mike fucking Perry, I tell you. You know, like you said, you can polish a turd, but it's still just a turd. And in the end, no matter how shiny you get aluminum, it's still aluminum. But from that shit show, that will bring us to the meat and potatoes of the meat and potatoes. That is the meat and potatoes of this meat and potatoes segment. The main event of the evening. The reason we are talking about this damn card to begin with. The reason there is still a card in Uruguay, because Shevchenkos don't quit ever. We are talking about Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko defending her belt once again against Liz Carmouche. Now, this is one of those fights where it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fireworks. It's going to be knockdown, drag out. Anywhere it goes, this is going to be a fireworks show. But I think this is one of those situations where you've got, to her credit, you've got a legitimate contender in Liz Carmouche. She's a 10th planet freak. She's a bad gal. She is strong as strong can be. But she's clunky in her movements. She's slow. She's not nearly as crisp or as quick as Valentina is. Valentina is just on a whole other level from any female in the UFC, in my opinion. I am one of those loudmouth assholes in the she got robbed camp. I am fucking telling you, if you can watch her fight with Amanda Nunes the second time around and you still think that Amanda Nunes won that fight, watch the fucking fight again. Valentina is the baddest woman in the UFC, in my opinion here. She is just too good everywhere. She's too good striking. She's too good on the ground. She's too good in the phone booth. She's too good in the clinch. Anywhere this fight goes, she is too good. The thing that I will say Carmouche has over Valentina is that jiu-jitsu. That 10th planet is nothing to be fucking trifled with from anyone other than a fellow 10th planet. And that's not Valentina. While she may have a buttload of World Muay Thai Championships, while she might have the UFC 125-pound gold, she does not have that 10th planet strap around her waist. That is what I feel is going to be Carmouche's strong point here. That's what I think is the only hope, in my opinion, that Liz Carmouche has of taking that belt away from Valentina Shevchenko. She has to get in past the striking, which is dangerous unto itself. She has to get into the clinch, which is just as dangerous. And then she has to put Valentina on the ground, and she has to do it in a position where Valentina is uncomfortable. She has to get Valentina in a position on the ground where she can control the action, where she can put the pressure on. Because if you put Valentina on her back, she not only can submit you, she'll break your fucking face open from the bottom, and she won't think twice about it. She's just as dangerous off her back as she is on her feet. And Valentina is the most dangerous striker on her feet, in my opinion, on the women's side of the MMA house, the UFC. I think her striking is too good. I think her counter striking is too good. And I think her defense against the grappling is going to be something that Liz Carmouche better have eaten her fucking Wheaties and watched tape for, because otherwise I don't see a hope and a prayer for this going any way other than and still. I think Liz Carmouche has a legitimate chance if she can get her 10th planet BJJ in effect, but I don't think she's going to be able to. I think this is going to be another situation where we see a girl think that she's ready, and then she comes up against Valentina and she realizes way too late that there are levels to this shit, and she is not on the same one as the Bullet. I think it's and still. I think we go early third round. I think it's going to be a submission. I think Valentina's going to put on a show here. I think she's going to try and take Liz at her own game.
Oh, I just want to say before I even start talking about this, my condolences out to the Carmouche family. Look, did anybody who watched last week's fight, whose fucking sister was fighting last week? The other mini Shevchenko. And she fucking looked phenomenal as well. Now, history tells us every time these girls fight within a week of each other, there's fireworks to be had with both of them. Why? Because them two bitches is training together when that happens. That's a scary, scary fucking thing. Look, I'm going to start here. Liz Carmouche is great in her own right. There's a reason why she's been around as long as she has. There's a reason why she has always been at the top of the pile in one way, shape, or form. She's a fantastic fighter. I will give her that, period. She has more heart than most women in the division. She will go out there, go out on her fucking shield. She'll go out on her sword. She don't give a shit. However, Peter's saying there are levels to this. Liz BJJ is fucking fantastic. Anything coming out of that fucking BJJ camp, fucking awesome. 10th Planet, they are phenomenal. All of those guys who have any sort of background with 10th Planet always have an excellent ground game. However, fights start on the feet. And you're dealing with somebody who's a multi-time world champion in fucking kickboxing, who's dispatched Johan more than one occasion. Look, fucking her last fight. Look at that goddamn head kick heard round the world. Straight shin to fucking head. You thought Holly Holm put on a nice head kick on Ronda Rousey? No. That put that fucking head kick to shame. Fucking zombie. Just. I mean, that one was wearing a helmet the rest of the fucking month. The only problem I have with this fight is I honestly feel like this was literally just we need something to save Uruguay. That's it. Because they didn't want to scrap it, because if I'm not mistaken, this is their first fight in that country, which is fantastic. If you're going to have a fucking fight to be your first fight in a country, this is a fantastic fight to have. You are showcasing one of the best fighters in mixed martial arts right now. Period. I'm telling you, after this fight, I really hope that she does not take another fight at this weight class. I hope she goes down after Amanda. I really do. Because there's no way that those judges can see this any other way again. Look, talk about getting fucked with a sandpaper dildo. Without the courtesy of any lube. She got fucking screwed. Not in the way she wanted to be either. Look, this is just a stepping stone for her to go in, prove that the division is clear. There's nobody else here for her. Because to be quite honest, Liz is the last, in my opinion, the last stand right now. Unless Liz puts up some fucking, it's going to be her best performance of her fucking career. That'll probably never happen again. She's going to have to do the best performance of her fucking career ever to even come remotely close to getting this to decision. I don't think Valentina lets this get to decision. I think this finishes late third round, maybe early fourth, just purely on the striking alone. Don't get me wrong, Liz has got heart for days, but your heart don't keep you awake when your head gets kicked or when you get fucking punched in the face enough. Your heart can only keep you awake for so long. And my hat's off to you. Liz is a former fucking Marine, so she gets nothing but fucking respect from me in that aspect. But this is just I'm sorry, this is a class above you. Don't get me wrong. If this was a gunfight, I'm going to give it all to Liz because I know she can shoot better than him. But just saying, on this is a fight. This is not a fucking gunfight. This is a goddamn fist fight. Not just a fist fight, but it's a fucking fight. No weapons. All they have is themselves. This is a bad day for Liz. I'm glad she's going to get paid for this shit because God knows she's getting paid for this. It's fucking fantastic. Unfortunately, it's still going to be fucking pennies what she could have if the UFC would allow their fighters to brand themselves again. But, you know, it's because they're all cocksuckers. But neither here nor there. Late third round, early fourth. Valentina all fucking day long.
Oh, man. I can't add much because TJ pretty much said everything. Liz is fucking dedicated to fucking fighting. She has her heart into it. But Valentina, she's just on another fucking level. She's just on a whole nother level of fucking her speed, agility, and the things that she can do with her feet is just fucking outrageous. Fucking, you can't, I can't say much after TJ. Fuck you. Fuck. But Valentina, I want to say early third by knockout. I would like to see a submission, but I know it's probably going to be a knockout. But fucking Liz is going to go in there and fucking. She was in the Marine Corps. She's going to go out there. She's going to die in her fucking shield, man. She's going to fucking die in her shield on Saturday. That's it. She's going to give it everything she has.
Yeah, so Valentina Shevchenko, she's anybody that doesn't know, she's number 13 on the pound for pound list. That's males and females. The only female that's higher than her is Nunes. I think Nunes is like 4 or 6 or something like that. 4. So, I mean, with all the weight classes and all the extremely talented males in UFC, that's extremely good to be number 13 on there. And she might even deserve to be higher because she's one of the best strikers, male or female. I did not know that this is their second fight. Liz Carmouche won the first fight via TKO doctor stoppage. Yeah, I don't know if I remember that fight, but that's interesting at least.
That was before either one of them were signed to anything. That was on an Indian reservation in Oklahoma with 73 people in the crowd. They talked about it the other day.
Oh, yeah? That's crazy. So, and they stopped it there, huh? That's crazy. Well, but yeah, Shevchenko is just something special. I hope she does get to fight Nunes again. I think they're doing a good job building her up too. They put like ESPN put like videos on the UFC page of her, doing the Superman punch, her kicks and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, I think they should keep doing that because I think she's also just an awesome person. I like the dancing at the end and everything. I think that she's a good face for the UFC. So I hope she wins. She's gonna win, and hope she goes on to fight Nunes.
I agree. She's absolutely the exact thing that you would want in the face of a champion in your organization. She's a great fighter. She's a great sportsman, and she's a great human being overall. So I absolutely think that she's going to take this, and I think that she's going to continue to be the face of, for the most part, the women's side of the UFC. And I think that you can't really go wrong with that. But as is the fight game, there's no way to be sure. So we're all just going to have to tune in this weekend to find out how things do inevitably go. But that is all we have for this particular episode here. So we will take a minute and take it around the room. I want to thank these gentlemen for taking the time out of their lives to be here for these shenanigans and this shit show that we have thrown down today. First and foremost here, if somebody decides that they want to get into the fight game in the Ohio Valley region, how the hell are they going to get a hold of you, RJ?
I mean, people can get a hold of me over there on the Instagrams at RJ__vapes. You can also find me on YouTube at RJ Vapes. Hit me up, and if you're trying to come to Ohio, might get a little bit fucked up along the way, but hey, we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much for your time, brother. Always appreciated there. And then across from him, if there's some shit talker that decides that he's looking for fisticuffs in Fishtown, how the fuck are they going to get a hold of you, Nick Devine?
Just over on YouTube and Instagram, n.devine83. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for having me. I had a lot of fun. Definitely tune in next week because we got a pay-per-view next week that's really good, right? It's a pay-per-view next week. Yeah, so definitely tune into that one. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment, share with your MMA friends, and follow the Instagram page as well. I'm No Joe. And thanks for having me. Had fun.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming, brother. Always a good time when you're aboard here with us. And last but certainly not least, if somebody thinks that not only is there no MMA to be seen or talked about in Wisconsin, but that Green Bay just doesn't have a chance this year and they need someone to scream at them until some common sense gets locked in their head, how would they go about getting a hold of you, TJ?
I don't know why you always want to poke that bear when you're doing this. It's a bad look on you. Look, I love you, brother. Man, you stop poking that goddamn Green Bay bear. I will come down and I will fight you. That's right. That goes for anybody else too. I will fight you. I might be out of shape and overweight, but goddamn it, that'll make me fight. No, but if you do want to come and just talk some shit and get educated a little bit, Wednesday nights I'm on the YouTubes. Golf T Vapes, 9:30 Central Time, Wednesday night. You can also find me in the Instagrizzles and some other places. Slide up in those DMs. I'll talk shit with you. I'm not that way. And if you have anything to say about Green Bay, you can just go fuck yourself. Don't even bother.
Thank you, as always, for your time, brother. Much appreciated to have your opinion across the way from you here. So that is all we have for this particular episode. So remember, if we have made it through this time of shenaniganry and shit talking, and we've made you giggle, we've given you a couple of points that you hadn't thought about before. Hell, if we maybe brought to light something that you didn't think about beforehand, give us a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. Hell, share an episode with your friends if you really enjoyed yourself. We're trying to grow this damn thing. On the other side of that, if we're just a bunch of dipshits sitting in front of cameras talking out our ass, give us a thumbs down. We earned it, and I won't dispute it in the least bit. But that's all we've got for now. So remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for everything and anything. But we're going to call it all. So we're just going to take the geese and just get the flock out of here.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening, but they fought with expert timing. They were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping up, they were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip.